Our next keynote speaker is Kenneth Kwan. He will be talking about the power of small steps to big changes and transformation. He's a published author, and his book, Small Steps to Big Changes, is a result of more than a decade of working with clients. Who has read this book, Small Steps to Big Changes? Those who haven't read it, it's for sale. Please go buy it. Kenneth is an author, global leadership, and motivational speaker who has spoken to over tens of thousands of people from over 40 countries on developing a success-oriented mindset and what is required to lead a sustainable change. Please give a big round of applause to Kenneth Kwan, our keynote speaker.
Thank you very much. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Awesome. Okay, so one important question before I start is, what do leaders want from their employees? What do you think leaders want from employees right now? So I want you to get into groups of 2s or 3s and just discuss it in a quick 1 minute. What do leaders want from their employees? Ready? Go, grab somebody to talk. What do they want? Tons. Okay, let's get it back. Give your partner a high five and say thank you for sharing. High five. Well done, okay? Thank you. Nice. Can you just shout out what are some things that leaders want from the employees? Ready? Go. Just shout. Productivity. Be happy. Sorry? Loyalty. Commitment. Keep customers happy. Sorry? Results. Okay, good. What else? Efficiency. What else? Passion. Okay. What else? More profits, right? Revenue. Okay, fantastic. And we could do this the whole day. Leaders want millions of things from their employees. You know, I've spoken to 3,000 over leaders, senior leaders. I asked them this one very simple question. What do you want from your employees? And they want many things. Many things, like what you have shared. But I've summarized them into 3 major categories of what they want. Number 1, they want their people to have what we call possibility thinking. The ability to look ahead, think strategically, to focus on how they can improve the business by looking at possibilities. The second thing that a lot of senior leaders want from their people is the ability for their people to focus on what works rather than what doesn't work. They get very frustrated when you keep telling them that this happened and, it didn't work. But they want to look for solutions, possible solutions that they just move them out quickly, very fast. And the third thing that leaders want from their people is the ability to generate forward momentum fast. Forward momentum. How do we move quickly, And the best part is, can we make change happen from bottom up rather than top down? Okay, so if you can speak in a language that senior business leaders are interested in, you will always get their attention. The tough part is, sometimes, in the HR profession, you are focused in your own roles, in your own language. But sometimes you may not be speaking a language that's consistent with what the business leaders are excited about. There has to be a correlation. Okay, once we find a correlation, you will instantly get their attention. Good. So, I'm going to play a game with all of you. Okay, again, can I invite all of you to please stand up right now? Up, everybody. Up. I want you to grab a partner. 2 persons are partner. Ready, go. Quick. Grab a partner. 2 persons are partner. Go. Two persons are partner. Do you have a partner right now? Okay, I want you to look at your friend and say, this is my partner. Okay, ready? Go. Okay, who does not have a partner? Raise up a hand. Don't worry. Okay, if you do not have a partner, just grab somebody. Okay, good. So this game is really simple. I want you to ask questions to each other. But when you're being asked a question, you cannot answer. But but you must ask another question in return. You will lose the game if you answer the question. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate for you how to do it, how to play this game, okay? So Maisha is my demonstrator. Okay, so I'll ask her, sorry, what's your name?
Where do you live?
Do you like to wear black?
Where did you go to school?
Are you married?
Do you have pets?
How long have you been working here?
What's your favorite food?
Do you like to wear black color specs?
What's your favorite color?
Do you have a boyfriend?
Do you have a wife?
She's good, right? Woo! Okay, now it's your turn, okay? Your turn. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Ask. Okay, time's up! Woohoo! Give your partner a high five, say well done. Please be seated. Please be seated. Nice. One question, okay. How many of you, when people ask you questions, you just feel like answering them on? Thank you very much. And how many of you were able to resist? No way I'm going to answer, okay? Very good. And how many of you here, no matter what question I ask, will never raise up a hand? Thank you very much. Okay, so I work with a lot of senior leaders, and we teach them how to hold conversations, but not just any conversation like what you have experienced, but how do you hold conversations that move them from problem thinking into solution thinking fast? And that's where we excel really well. We want to create possibilities. We want to focus the conversations around what works rather than what doesn't work. And we want to help the leaders to create forward momentum as fast as they can. So let me share with you just some 4 imperatives, okay? 4 imperatives to create change and progression at work. And this is really important. I'm going to share with you these 4 things, and I'm going to go through every single one of them in detail. So there must be a certain level of discomfort for change to occur. Okay? The second thing is the goal must be attractive, not just to the organization, but to the individual as well. The third thing is the people must feel that there's a certain level of confidence that it can be done. And the fourth thing is basically there must be clarity or progress clues. And all these things must happen in order for change to happen. If you don't have any one of them, it can still work, but it's going to be a lot harder. Okay, let's go through one by one. Level of discomfort. For any change to happen, a person or group of people must first feel uncomfortable. There must be a certain level of discomfort. Have you ever tried to change people who are comfortable with where they are? Yes? It's very frustrating. You can't change them. It's almost impossible to change people who are very contented at where they are. And this is what leaders, they try to always paint a picture of, this is what we need to do right now, but the people are still very comfortable. And that's why they just can't understand. Why can't you change? I mean, the business needs the change, but why can't you do it? So there's always, we're just contented. And the question is, how do you create this level of discomfort? How do you do that? Okay, and that's important. You can't change people by just ordering them to do things. You can't. Those who are married for a while, you understand this perfectly. I'm just curious, how many of you here have tried to change your spouse's habits before? How many of you have tried? Okay, tried, okay? And how many of you have actually succeeded? Wow, these are the very good ones. You can realize the percentage is a lot lower, right? Because what you think there's a problem, but the other person doesn't think there's a problem, there's really no problem. Yeah, it's very difficult to just change perceptions of current reality. And it's why leaders struggle a lot. Leaders are usually the one in front. They're always thinking about what's ahead and what needs to change. but the rest of the people don't share the same level of enthusiasm. The question is how? How do we get them to think about possible changes and create this level of discomfort? I want to share with you what we have noticed to have worked after working with a few hundred of different clients, where we help the leaders hold conversations around what's not working and getting them to talk about looking straight into their team members' face and say, hey, you know, I know that you are handling this, you're struggling with this. I'm just curious, what if all these difficulties were to disappear? What will be different? And we start getting them to explore the difference. And what we realize that vivid, positive descriptions of the future will actually invoke positive behaviors. I need to say that again. Vivid, positive descriptions of the future will actually invoke positive behaviors. So when they start describing the current frustrations, you know, the team members keep talking about the current frustrations, the team leader just needs to look at them and say, no, I know that you want life to be a lot more meaningful, right? You want it to be not so mundane. You want to be able to serve with the same amount of time without putting more effort, but still be able to deliver better results. Is that what you want? And the answer is always yes, this is what I want. And once they start discovering what could be better and different, all of a sudden, there's a certain level of discomfort because they know that the current reality doesn't work well for them. Okay? So the first thing, the level of discomfort is really, really important to create change. The second thing, what we have noticed is we need to start developing the attractiveness of a goal. Like I said earlier on, the goal is not just for the organization's benefit. And a lot of times the leader talks about it from big figures, you know, this is how we can improve savings, improve revenue, cut down costs. But what does it mean to the average person? The person who is in the front lines, what does it mean to them? The goal has to be really, really attractive. So I'm just curious. How many of you here think you are, between logical and emotional? How many of you here feel that you are a more logical person? Raise up your hand. More logical. I know you have both, okay? But which one do you think you have more? Okay, logical. Raise up your hand again. Thank you very much. And how many of you feel that you're more emotional? Raise up your hand. Well, that's a lot more. Thank you very much. And how many of you say that, I think I'm like 50-50? Raise up your hand. Okay, thank you very much. I want to suggest to you something. For those who said that you are a highly logical person, I'm going to say something that is going to provoke you right now. You are a lot more emotional than you think you are. Let me prove it to you. Prove it to you, okay? If you say you're highly logical, technically, you should be exercising a lot more. Because exercise makes sense, right? It's good for your body, right? But when I ask you why you're not exercising, you know what you say? Oh, Kenneth, I don't feel like it. That's an emotional response, right? Think about it. There's no logical explanation, no? I'm too tired. I just don't feel like it. And if you're highly logical, technically, you should be having the best habits. You will not have any inefficient habits. But when I ask you why, you're still doing things that are not supporting you. You say, oh, Kenneth, I just don't know why, I'm so used to it. So there's an emotional response. And not only that, I will ask you, I will make a statement like, hey, if you're highly logical, technically you should be eating correctly. You will not eat any food that will kill you, right? Because it makes sense. But when I ask you why, you look at me and say, but I just love this. I just cannot give it away, And it's very difficult to rationalize an emotional response. And so this is what I want to submit to you. For those who say you're highly logical, maybe we are emotional beings trying to be logical. Maybe. But what we have realized is that a lot of times change strategies are always revolving around, all the things that they need to do, but not much of it is focusing on how do we create positive emotions. How do we get people to feel better about the preferred future? Feelings are important because as what I shared with you earlier on, you tend to do things when you feel good about it. feelings are important. But if you realize that a lot of change strategies do not consider that, or do not consider as part of a strategy. They have logical conversations, what makes sense, and it's important to have that. But it's important to get them to feel together with it. So the goal must be attractive. And how do we do that? By creating emotional linkage to the goal. So we can talk about the perfect future. That's where we teach leaders to work with the perfect future by looking, hey, suppose right now if you are able to serve the clients at the highest level and you are super happy at where you are and you're delivering results without putting more time and effort, what will be different for you? And all of a sudden the conversation changes from one that is of the current reality into something that they always wanted to hear. The goal becomes really attractive to them. So I want you to do something. Turn to your partner on the left and right and tell them this. You are more emotional than you think you are. Ready? Go! A lot more emotional. And you know what? It doesn't mean that guys are not emotional. From here, I can see is many of the men are the ones that is raising up their hands. It's just that emotions are expressed differently. Very differently. Okay, for me, when I'm emotionally frustrated, I kick things, and then after that, my leg will hurt. Then I get very frustrated. I express them differently from a lady, from my wife, So the expressions of emotions are different. And it's very important to remember that if we want to create positive change at work and progression, we need to consider that this goal has to be attractive to them as for the individual as well, okay, for the individual. So I want to share with you one specific client that we worked with. So it was a global luxury brand, okay? They do travel retail, and they are in 14 different countries. And one of the groups that we worked with was the global finance team. So they were in charge of all the different markets. And they had to do a lot of, they had to get data every single month from the markets. They were sent to them, and they had to compile them into a very elaborate report for senior management to go through. So imagine, every single month you have to do it. Every quarterly you have to do it. Half monthly and every year. It's a lot of efforts. A lot of efforts. And they started asking themselves, we started painting an attractive goal. What would you like to see? Suppose if things are different and you are serving at your highest level, you're actually helping the business grow with finance. What will you notice will be different? And they took a long time to think, but then half an hour when they discussed and they drew up the whole map, they said two key areas. Number one, finance must be made a lot more simpler for people. Because not many people understand finance. It's very complicated. And after all, not all business leaders are very well trained in financial ratios and numbers as well. It's something that they have to acquire. So they said that finance has to be a lot simpler. But the next thing that they shared is finance had to be something that will enable the business to grow. Because a lot of times finance is relegated as the purse keeper. Not enough budget, I'm so sorry. Wait for the next year's cycle. But how do you actually readjust your budget so they can move them quickly to help the business grow? That is the question that they wanted to answer. So they got so excited about it that they actually talked about how they can make finance so much easier by reducing the amount of reports that the senior management had to actually focus on. So they actually cut down a few reports, and they tried, in the first month. What if the senior leaders did not see these 2 reports? They purposely went on this experiment, They tried it, and you know what? The senior leaders didn't even notice that the reports were missing. Yeah, and they started reducing some of the financial ratios, which are not very important because a lot of times they don't notice it. They only focus, senior leaders, they realize that the behavior of senior leaders is they always look at the numbers and they look for any big variances. If there's any big variances based on last year, then they'll pay more attention to it. If it's pretty much the same, then they'll just say, okay, business as usual. And when they started to do this for the first month where they didn't notice it, they tried on for another few months. The second month, nothing happened. No sound from the management team. And they carried on to the 4th month, then they realized, actually, we don't need to do so much work for nothing. Why not they asked their SVP, their senior vice president, can we remove all these numbers from the senior management reporting next time? And the SVP said, okay, let's try it out. And you know what? When they removed it, they were able to save 2 months from each country. And if you extrapolate to 14 different countries, they have saved a total of 28 man-hours. And these are very highly skilled professionals, you know. They're not their average, and their salaries are very expensive. So all of a sudden, they started realizing that this is actually, we have made finance so much simpler. But the next thing was, and they use all the time that they save into enabling the business to grow even better. And that's the power of attractiveness of the goal, where we start focusing on the future orientation. So here's how you can have a conversation to create excitement about this new goal. Look your people in the eye, talk about the future, and ask them this very emotional question. If you can do all this, how will you feel? And I can tell you, if you ask feeling questions from a future point of view, they will always say, oh, I feel good. I feel that we are achieving something significant. I feel that we're no longer doing mundane stuff. We are really making sense to the business. I feel personally satisfied. So remember, talk about feelings from a future state and not just in the present state. Okay, next. So I'm going to get you to take this quiz. Okay, this quiz, you can only use 3 minutes to do this. Okay, only 3 minutes. These questions I have is to determine whether you are solution-focused or very problem-focused at work. Okay? So only 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes. So you can scan the QR code or you can type into your browser solution-focused with a d.scoreapp.com. 3 minutes. There will be a report that will be generated and it will be sent to your email account that you have typed in. Okay? So please key in. Your 3 minutes starts now. Having difficulty accessing, don't worry about it. You know, can come to me and we'll let you take it after this session. Okay, during the breaks. Don't worry about it. 1.5 minutes more. Fifteen more seconds.
Jump into the fire. I'd like to see your wild side. We should run away where the sun never goes down and time has slowed down. Would it be too crazy if we
show of hand, how many of you have actually finished? Okay, thank you very much. Good. If you're not finished, don't worry, just click finish. Just give you a couple more seconds, and I'll just carry on. The third imperative for any change to be positive and for progression at work is to focus, the people must have confidence that it can be done. Confidence is very, very important. The challenge is the leader's confidence is usually very different from the rest of the people's confidence. And they don't share the same exact level. So a lot of times leaders get frustrated. Hey, I thought it's so simple, right? It's very obvious. Why can't we just do this? But you realize there's resistance from the ground because they don't share the same level of enthusiasm or even the same level of confidence. So confidence is really important for any change to happen. And for leaders who are constantly frustrated, I can only say that the people are not you. They have not had your experience, and they have not had the same personality as you. That's why they look at things differently. So the question is, how do we inculcate confidence within a group of people that you have that sometimes don't share the same level of confidence? So I want to share with you the next example, and it's this company, Nestle. How many of you are familiar with Nestle? Nestle, right? And we work with this particular brand called Nespresso. They are the premium product, for their company, premium coffee product. And so when we worked with this particular regional customer service office, they were serving 6 different countries from Singapore. And so we did a few training programs, but one particular program, we started focusing on, what do you think you have done well? What have you done well that you need to pay more attention to and systemize it across the organization? So a lot of times people pay attention to mistakes and they talk about it, right? But right now it's the total reverse. Let's focus on what we did well, and can we spend all our time talking about what created success? Because the first one, where you talk about mistakes, it just tells you what not to do so that you won't fail. But the second one focuses on what you can do to be successful. And that's a whole lot of difference. So when we ask this question, who among you, is really successful and is doing your job really well and can deliver your company's targets on time? And you know what? One lady stood up. This particular lady was only a 26-year-old lady, and she was from China. She said, and when she stood up, everybody knew that she was the queen, the queen of customer service, because her approval rating was 98%. Better than anybody else. So everybody was excited, and they wanted to find out, what's your secret? And you know what she said? Oh, actually what I do is really simple. But that made a whole lot of difference. You see, every time clients will call their office and say, my pantry, there's not enough supplies, can you please restock my pantry? So what she'll do is she'll look at the system and say, okay, this is about time, do you want the same as the last time? And they'll send it to you. So before they even call her, she will call them, because from the system she can see the buying cycle of a client. And she knows that most clients on average, every 2 months will call her once. So before they even call her, she will call them and say, I think your supplies should be diminishing. Do you want me to restock? And immediately the client will be asking, how do you know that? Because the system tells her, right, when is the buying cycle. And not only that, she will always do this. Can I give you extra sachets of our new flavor, 50 sachets, extra sachets, and 50 other capsules of this new flavor. And because she was always giving them free stuff, they loved her. But what she knew was, she knew a very special trick. Because every time she let you try new flavors, what happened? The client will keep buying more flavors. She actually increased the revenue of the company. So she was not just serving the clients well, but she was increasing revenue at the same time. So imagine, so sometimes we think that the customers, the salespeople are the ones that is bringing the money in, but not necessarily. It could be the customer service officer as well, who's helping the clients to buy more. And after that, when she shared her success story, everybody was like, oh my goodness, it's so simple. I can actually do this. And after a while, their confidence was increased. They start focusing all their conversations right now in the office, focusing on what went well, and they call it the sparkling moment. So what's this sparkling moment? They have created a ritual. Every single week, they'll talk about, hey, what went well, what's something that we need to pay more attention to, and how do we systemize it across so that all 50 of our CSOs can be equally as successful as you. And these conversations are actually a lot more exciting than what happened, how come you did it, all the questions that revolve around failure. So I want you to do something right now. Tell your partner on the left and right, and tell them, find signs of success. Okay, ready? Tell them this. Find signs of success. Ready? Go. Find signs of success. Because what we notice when we find signs of success, we can actually shape behaviors. Conversations become very exciting, and we start shifting from problem focus to solution focus. Last thing, there must be clarity or progress clues in order for change to happen. People must, in order for change to be sustained, people must feel that they are progressing and getting better. So I wrote an article to the Singapore newspapers once. The article's title was, "People don't leave their jobs, they leave their bosses." We know that bosses play a very important role. And one of the reasons the people say is, when they leave their job is, I don't feel that I'm growing. I haven't been, growing very well. And this is where we help leaders hold conversations on how do you create progress clues. So leaders must hold conversations like, for the past, 3 months ago you couldn't do this, but now you can. Can you see how much you have changed? And we teach them a scaling process. The scaling is very simple. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at on this problem right now? And what needs to happen right now for you to move one level up? And we are only focusing on the small steps, not big steps. You can have a very big goal, but focus specifically on the very small steps. Why small steps? Because small steps is very easy, it's very doable, it's achievable. It gives people confidence that, hey, I can actually make something small right now. And it overcomes complicated thinking. Because sometimes people just think too much and they don't do anything about it. And when we start creating forward momentum, what we notice is when people win small, they want to win more. Winning is highly motivational. When a group of people have seen change and how they progress step by step on a scale, they start realizing, hey, wow, 2 months ago we couldn't do this. Right now we can do this. I'm starting to be very proud of my team members as well. So the scaling process, and every single month we teach the leaders to hold a scaling conversation with our people. Where are you at right now on this particular challenge? And the best part is this scaling conversation is so easy that you can use them in almost any context. You can even focus on the competencies. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10, on this competency? It could be the readiness to change. How ready are we on a scale of 1 to 10 to be able to embark on this new change journey? Or it could be even, what's our digital literacy and enablement of the company on a scale of 1 to 10? It's a very easy discussion, and the best part is people can start seeing steps by steps. And remember, when they start seeing improvements over a period of time, winning is a great motivator. Yeah, you don't need to motivate people who are consistently winning at work. So I shared with you 4 imperatives to create positive change. And let's go through one by one again. The level of discomfort must be there. The goal must be attractive. The people must have a certain level of confidence that it can be done. And there must be clarity or progress clues. So I've been sharing with you a lot of work examples so far. But I want to share with you right now a personal example of my home. And this was, I have 3 boys. So when there were 2 boys at the time, this is Isaac when he was 5 years old. And Isaac was the worst eater in the world. He takes 2 hours to finish his meal. 2 hours, 2 whole hours. As a parent, we feed them. In the beginning, we are very patient. And after a while, you'll be like screaming at him, eat, open bigger, then stuff one whole spoonful of rice, right? After a while, in the beginning, there was no level of discomfort. I felt that, hey, why change? I mean, isn't that for all the kids? Every kid eats slowly, right? Until I learned that I had friends whose kids eat like half the time. Then I realized there's a certain level of discomfort already. Yeah, I started asking, okay, so I knew that change must be there. Then, of course, the next question is, we started talking. I talked to my wife, can we paint an attractive goal? But can the goal be different? Then we sat down and we asked ourselves, what are our best hopes for him? Not just what's better, but what's our best hopes for Isaac? And that's why we agreed that, okay, he must take less than 45 minutes to have finished his meal. The food should not fall on the table, and he will look relatively clean. The keyword is relatively, okay? Not completely clean. And after a while, we got excited about this goal. Then the question is, do we have confidence that it can be done? And you know what? Immediately we said no. Not possible. We know our kid. It's not possible. Because for the past, 5 years, we've been seeing him eat really, really slowly. And after a while, but we kept at it. We said, what are the signs of success? What was something that he did previously the last time? And we realized that he actually loves to eat Western food. And when it comes to Western food, he eats them really fast. All the pasta, French fries. He eats them really fast. But of course, we are Asians. We cannot let him eat that every day, right? He needs to eat his noodles and rice as well. And we started asking, okay, when was the other time that he could eat really fast? And that's why we realized that he likes seaweed. Those little seaweed. And when we crushed the seaweed on his rice, all of a sudden he started eating very fast, but only the top layer. Because he has seaweed. Then we got cleverer, we said, okay, why not we mix it up with the rice, right? And we started seeing him eat mouthfuls of rice. And it was getting faster and faster. Then we said, yay, signs of success. And the last thing is we started scaling ourselves. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are we at right now in helping Isaac eat? And we started with 1. We're very pessimistic. Then we asked ourselves, rather than get upset about him all the time and get very angry with him, sometimes the worst thing are angry parents, and we do all kinds of terrible, terrible things, right? and after a while, I started asking my wife, what do we need to do right now to move to a level 2? Just a level 2 only. And we thought about it for a very long time, and we found out that actually he likes to eat. When we put a timer in front of him, because he does abacus, those Chinese abacus, he does it really fast and well. He loves math, And when he does abacus, he was totally focused. And because there's a timer there, then we asked ourselves, hey, what if we take the timer and we put it in front of him, and we said, Isaac, you got 15 minutes to eat, okay? 15 minutes, you must cover half the bowl, just half the bowl. You don't have to complete just half the bowl. And we made it as a game, and he started eating mouthfuls and looking at the timer. For a 5-year-old kid, it made a whole lot of difference for him. And we were just having fun making him eat faster. So, ladies and gentlemen, I shared with you 4 imperatives to create change. From the organizational point of view, and even how it has affected me as a parent, in how I help my kids eat. So, ladies and gentlemen, what is your next small step? Thank you very much. If you're on social media, just connect with us, and we are here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kenneth. Can we all give a big round of applause to Kenneth once again? Thank you. Okay, small steps to big changes just reminds me of a story that my boss tells me. How many of you have been bitten by an elephant? No? No one. How many of you have been bitten by a mosquito? Exactly. The smallest things have the biggest impact on us. So, small steps to big changes. Very great topic to talk about. Thank you, Kenneth.